playing with little toy airplanes. Welcome back. Okay, you notice it's a smaller crowd. Yes, thought it was going to be a big game tonight. It's not. Hey, life happens. We're going to deal with that. So tonight, obviously, we've got Rick playing Murdoch, our Adeptus Mechanicus person with his crazy thopter thing. Archaeothopter. All right, so last week, I don't even remember what we did last week. We shot a bunch of tau, didn't we?
I mean, I remember, but we're not allowed to talk about it.
Exactly, it was all...
We don't talk about last week.
That's right, we didn't shoot any tau because we went in and did the gene stealers and grabbed gene stealers and then redacted everything. Exactly, redacted everything.
Cloud in the sky.
All right, so... Where are we? We are back in the Taxila sector with fewer players tonight, and I thought we had audio trouble, and we didn't. Hey, we've got even more viewers. Actually, maybe that's just you. One of them is you. Well, I think I just pitched out, so maybe we have some real viewers here. Shut down my Twitch feed, so I'm not misguiding us that we have more viewers than we do. Okay, so most of the players are gone. We've got Rick back. We've got Rick as the Adeptus Mechanicus. So we're going to play just a kind of a short mission here and do some background story stuff as well, and dig into all the crazy things going on in the Taxila sector. When we get everybody back, it will not be next week. It will be the week after, because next week is going to be Memorial Day, paint party. People are off. People are vacationing. Then he's going to be camping. I'm going to be at my farm working. But we will then come back the following week. And hopefully have our whole crew together and try to do Operation Ophis. So if you follow the stories for a while, the Tau have obviously invaded the world of Scythiana. The Imperials and the local militia have counterattacked. Several spoiling attacks later by both sides. Finally, the Imperials have kicked off the big operation to exterminate the Tau, kick the Xenos off the planet, and return it to its blissful, wonderful existence that it is.
Most of the Xenos.
Most of the Xenos, except for the Exodites, we don't talk about them. Redacted. Or the gene stealers we found last week. Also redacted. Also redacted. All mention of anything Xenos. Redacted. Okay. So, speaking of redacted, as the operation kicked off, remember the Inquisitor Fortnum of the Ordo Xenos had kind of disappeared for a couple days. Operation kicks off. His kill team is part of the operation, because why would the Ordo Xenos miss any chance to kill Xenos? They wouldn't. So they're operating in a further part of the area, kind of in the deep battle, going out trying to hunt down and kill the Tau commanders, wherever they are. Now, the boring mission, of course, follows to the local militia and to House Themistocles, who we have represented on the board. Let me see if I can zoom in and find a good view of our little... Oh, look, there's some knights out there. There's the top-down view. Actually, I think I have a nice oblique view that's got them in there somewhere. Let's see. Oh, right there. Look, we have some guys. So House Themistocles has been charged with entering one of the valleys where they suspect the Tau are hiding. At the same time, if you remember, a number of the other local militias from other planets were brought over. The one planet full of really useful militia, Zagros, they brought the Zagrosian militia over. They have kind of a bad reputation in the Bactrian diplomatic union and amongst the Imperials and everyone. They'll kind of find them lazy. They think they're not exactly that great of warriors, usually until the first time they run afoul of them. Then they realize that they've been suckered into believing that these people are nice, quiet, and to push over. So the Zagrosian military, their militia has gone in. A little bit of backstory for everybody who may have missed the earlier episodes. So the Zagrosians, who... If you remember, the commanding officer of the local militia air wing, Ansari, Lieutenant Colonel Ansari, is a Zagrosian. So they have officers and mentors in their units that are all Bactrians. So they're normally not allowed to command their own units. Saul is an exception. He has somehow slipped through the cracks and made it into the Bactrian the local militia as a Zagrosian. But they have, once again, like I said, not a great reputation amongst the Bactrians, except for those that serve with them that realize they're pretty fearsome fighters when they employ them in combat. All right, so what has happened is House Themistocles has tried to kind of turn the corner here. You can see on the map, I'll go back to the overhead zoom, so we've got a view of the battlefield here. They've tried to kind of turn the corner through this valley. It may be hard to pick out in the feed. We saw it with the street view earlier. There are two platoons of Zagrosian, two platoons of Zagrosian ground forces down there that are able to they're probably pretty well camouflaged on the board here, but they are probably going to be in need of some assistance tonight at some point. As usually happens. Angry people on the ground keep falling into traps and, getting in trouble and needing to be helped out. I hate it when the missions go that way. But there may be some other pop-up targets out there. So obviously there's Tau all over the place. Without the rest of the people here to help root out the Tau, this is going to be an interesting evening. But once again, your ornithopter is basically a vulture, so you basically have 6 las cannons, right?
6 shots at medium range.
Yeah.
Three sets of las.
Yeah, 3 sets of las cannons. So you have plenty of extra las cannons to throw down range at the bad guys. And then you, of course, can throw angry people out of the back or angry tech people out of the back. So
He's not usually angry. He's just confused.
He's just confused. He's confused.
Tech people.
Confused a lot. So the mission as it has started, the last couple of days have been, as we've referred to previously, a Grox hump. If you don't know what a Grox hump is, a Grox is a large reptilian beast of burden and also eating. So it's a kind of bovine. I don't know what term you would use there.
Lizard cow.
A lizard cow is the best way to describe it, a big lizard cow. And those are found on many Imperial worlds. So when we say it's a Grox hump, things have gone sideways. Basically, the Tau have proven that they are masters of the electromagnetic spectrum. Since you Imperials tend to like to do things with candles and carrier pigeons and servo skulls.
Just because we don't send our Ethernet over power.
Exactly. Doesn't mean you're not a technologically advanced society. That is true.
I have sensors that I brought with me
You do.
that have done nothing.
So you have Solon, or you had previously Solon in the back. You had dropped him off with the House Themistocles Knights and Armigers because all the communication networks are down. All the basic Vox networks are down. The Tau are doing a good job of jamming basic Vox. The Adeptus Mechanicus thought maybe they would get through by using binaric, but that is also being jammed. What has come to be realized is about the only thing that's getting through is old hexarchaic kind of Adeptus Mechanicus systems. Yes, exactly. Just your kind of favorite systems. All the ones that work that nobody remembers how they work. But boy, you're going to keep going around and finding them. So previously, you dropped Solon off to help work some of the communications. You went back to the forward base, grabbed a bunch more parts to bring out to him to try to get these guys with House Themistocles back in communications with everybody else. So a little Adeptus Mechanicus, we will not say ingenuity because ingenuity would be heretical. Adaptability, because adaptability is not heretical. So a little adaptability.
It could have been archaic. It could have been.
It came out of a box somewhere.
I don't know that it's not.
I'm pretty sure it had an Aquila on the side of the box. If it didn't, I'm pretty sure someone spray painted an Aquila on the side of the box before they took it out.
That little Imperial thing?
Yes.
Is in a copper cage.
Which I was going to ask. So yours is in a copper cage in a lead box somewhere back at the base, or is it on your person? Or
with me in the...
Oh, okay, you do. All right. So remember that thought.
We need something to throw.
Remember that thought. Okay, so pick your altitude. I assume you're probably going to come in at altitude 1 because it's the easiest way to land there. Let me grab the other friendly aircraft and put them out there. Since the last mission, or?
Yeah.
Since the last mission has been about a week.
Okay, so plenty of time for me to supervise Solon fixing my drogue chute.
Describe fixing. Tell me what you told him to do this time, besides not have it deploy immediately.
Well,
Describe your tasking to young Mr. Solon.
He's not going to do anything by himself touching my bird this time.
Okay. Okay. So you spent
I
time
want to
observing
review
it.
the schematics.
Okay. First, make a talent -3 check.
No.
Yeah, you failed that one horribly. So then his check. Okay. So you kind of get lost in him installing pieces and parts, and he's going way faster than you can keep track of. And at some point, you just kind of throw up your hands, and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, but it looks different than last time. So at least your vote of confidence is it doesn't look like the way it was rigged last time. So it's not going to stop me immediately. It might accelerate me. You have no idea. So once again, you have no idea. But he seems pretty confident he's figured out what he did wrong last time.
Okay.
So we'll go with this install and we can try it. Anyway, when you check into the battlefield, our people who are not here, Echo, aka Stormy, aka Connor, they're controlling the battlefield, and there's obviously firefights and everything going on, and they tell you that currently in the target area that you're proceeding into, there is, oops, it helps when I actually write down the number, Talon 817. So remember that. That is the call sign.
Should spare.
Yes, I do. Somewhere here.
I will not remind you. I will not remember that.
Talon 817, who is the tan-colored airplane on the board, he is the one controlling the battlefield. And so, yes. Well, that's his call sign. Oh. It is actually, as you pull it up in your aircraft, so you pull up the listing of what it is, and you run your scanners out and you see, it's what's known as an Agrippos. An Agrippos is a scout aircraft. And that's AGGRIPOS. It's not a POS, it's actually pretty cool, but it ends in POS. But it's a scout aircraft, so it's probably out there hunting targets and trying to find where the Tau are while everybody's bogged down and stuck in these spots. So Solon, his location is right next to, if you land anywhere next to the big knight out there, okay, you will land next to him. And he's out there working with the communications, and he obviously needs the spare parts that you have on board to be delivered to him. All right, so first turn. Why don't you go ahead and roll initiative? And let's see here. Okay. Of course I would get one cocked. Why wouldn't I? Okay, you're 13. Okay, the Agrippos will move first. I'm just going to move them. We'll pick orders when something bad happens. So he's up at altitude 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Scoop.
Yep. Yep. Okay, you can go ahead and do your move.
Coming in, slowly slowing down.
Okay.
For my exceedingly long landing approach.
Exactly. Well, you can always try to slow down, see how the system works. Solon can give you a view from the ground. He can tell you. Okay. Let's roll initiative for another turn.
10.
Okay. Okay. Okay, 3, I guess a D3, okay. All right, so as you are approaching and you're on short final, starting to talk to Solon to tell him you're about to come in and land, he advises you that they are under fire from an APC, a Tau APC.
Oh, it got awfully close.
directly, basically popped out of the woodwork adjacent to them, and fire warriors are starting to dismount. All right, so turn 3. Let's pick our orders.
I am way too close. What's the height of this thing here?
That would be basically 3. So if we're considering, sorry, that would be 2. This is basically level 1. That's level 2. We'll call all those level 4.
Okay.
So right, that's his move.
Can I make a talent check to change my altitude at the beginning rather than the end of my run?
Ooh, that would be an interesting plan. Yes, you may. Yes, you may. When we get to the move. Okay, cool. Let's do initiative. What's yours?
You're making me mad. 15.
15, okay. So Taos go first. Obviously, it stays there because it's locked in combat. And then the Agrippos moves next. Okay, so he comes up on the frequency and tells you to break off your landing. He's going to attempt to go in and engage this Tau. I just got to figure out how to get past that. Okay, so I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he will drop. Oh, he has to go 5. And he would drop 2 levels to 1. That puts him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, he's too far away.
And I'm too close.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's in the same bad situation. All right. Go ahead and make your maneuver.
Let's see. So I'm going to break off.
And you're going to make your talent check to change altitudes first, or did you want to?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to try that.
Okay.
Or at least
Yeah.
search the way along.
Yep.
Because I don't want to hit that.
Right.
And I got to come up to at least 2 to not hit it.
Okay.
Yeah. Or is this an add situation?
No, it's just as long as it's below.
Okay. So I'm going to pop up to 2. I'm going to accelerate to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is going to put me here-ish, which I thought was going to be far enough. Yeah, even if I go to 5, I'm not going to be able to get him in my arc.
Okay. And what altitude are you at? 2?
2.
Okay. All right. So the Tau will start firing first. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're at 4. So that's still 2 dice from the Fire Warriors. Ooh. Oh, wait, you're at altitude 2, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's effective altitude 1, so that he's effective altitude 0, 1, so the squad can't shoot at you. Let's see here. Yeah, because he basically has effective altitude of 0. So if you're up at altitude 1, it's 6s to hit. So this will be 6s to hit with the missiles from the APC, and it misses. Okay. All right. Turn 4. Orders. And I forgot to roll for turn 3. Turn 3. Nope. Turn 4. Nope. Okay. That's the easiest way, and then his speed has to go back down to 6. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Initiative.
10.
Okay. Roll off again between you and the Tau. Okay. Got it. So the Agrippa goes first. Or Agrippos, or whatever it's called. You just slide over here.
Talon 817.
Exactly. See, you remember these things. All right. He's at altitude 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. There we go. Yes. All right. So then it's the Tau that. Consider that their move. Yes, you can. You can preempt.
3 and speed 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to drop back down to altitude 1.
Look at you hiding from the camera. Okay. So the local air militia decides he's going to start with the multi-lasers, twin multi-lasers, strafing for 2 hits, and those should be 5s to damage, so a whole lot of nothing, and then he's going to let loose with a set of rocket pods. See if he can ruin their day again. Well, much more chance to ruin their day on that one. Thoroughly ineffective. Excellent. All right. So, and then you preempt, so
All right.
take what shots? Yep,
So
you got your las cannons.
5 for 5, I believe.
Yep,
Range 5.
yep,
So,
your range 5, so your mediums.
I also know tandem lasers. Slightly bigger lasers.
Yes.
Let's see if we can pop some APCs.
Well, there's a chance.
2 hits. 1 and 2.
Okay, 3 points. So, Rick, 3 points. All right. That's enough to pop it.
Oh, yeah. Is that a singular big APC or is that a group of APCs?
Basically a group of APCs. All right. So that fire mission is concluded. Exactly. All right.
Oh, they were still in the APC.
Well, I mean, there's nothing left. Basically,
There's
everyone else
just
is
laser it.
everyone else is putting enough firepower into that to take care of it. Okay, so obviously your last cannons just peel that devilfish transport apart into pieces, and then the knights and everyone else can, they can finish off the rest of the other guys. So
I'm going to check in on Solon, make sure he's okay.
it's like, oh yeah, I think that he's great. Whatever, man. Life's good. All right.
Safe to resume?
Yes, it
landing
is
approach?
safe. Yep. So, yeah, Talon comes back up and says, proceed back in with your landing. He'll fly high cover. All right. So, turn 5. Let's do initiatives.
10.
Okay. Okay. No Tau to move. So move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he will climb up to altitude 3 again. And that takes him to speed 5. All right. What's your move?
Actually, I forgot to increase my speed, so, but I'm going to lower it again. Let's see. Can I land in the same square as any of those dudes?
Yes, you can if you want to.
Okay.
That's not a problem. There's plenty of room for everybody. Okay, so you did your move?
Yeah.
Okay. Turn 6 orders.
Is this a flyable square?
Yes, that is a flyable square. Okay, roll your initiative. What's your initiative? With that plus
11.
11? Okay, cool. All right. All right, make your move.
Slow down to speed 3. Was I here? I think I was here.
So you need to move one of the. These. Okay. Cool. All right.
Fly by. As he's slowing down and slowing down and slowing
And so I was like, I'm right over
Slowly
here.
shedding
Never
speed.
mind. I'm right over here.
Stupid APC made me pick up too much speed to land.
Yeah, well. Whoa. All right. New orders.
I feel like I should be able to shed speed on a 4.
You want to make a talent check? You should.
I've already planned it out.
Okay. All right. All
I
right.
need to be at 1 per round.
All right. Turn 7. Initiative.
13. No, 14.
Okay. Gee, it's awful quiet around here.
I didn't have to try it, but make it far away.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta get this bird on the ground. The Tau aren't helping.
Tower not helping in this case.
Why didn't
All
you
right,
see
make-
them before they were
make
right
your-
on them?
apparently they're paying too much attention to fixing their radio gear, their Vox gear.
Drop to speed 2. That's a 4, so he's gonna go bloop, bloop.
Okay. Okay.
And he's
One
still
more
got
set of-
Adeptus Solon, just facing the other direction.
Yep. All right. So, oops. Next orders. I'll do the same thing again. I assume you're doing the same thing again.
They do a 1.
Okay. Turn 8.
I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah. Don't bother.
doing a
Yeah.
1.
Yep. Okay.
15.
15. Got it. Okay.
I need to put wheels on this thing so I can land at speed 1.
Yes, you do. Do that. Hold on. Trying to. Give him enough turning room to come back in if he needs to. All right. Okay, so you're now landed, right? Start at turn
I
9.
Speed 1, so I have to drop down the line.
Oh, okay, you got
Turn
so
one.
okay, so at the end of at this turn 9 is going to be the one you go to 0, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course it is. Good. That's how it always works out. What's your initiative?
18.
Okay. Let's see here. So I need a D6 first. Lucky for you. All right.
Be far away.
All right.
That looks like a bad guy.
A railgun equipped squad of battle suits starts attacking one of the positions out there. All right.
Our little, what are those little dudes called?
The Zagrosians that are out
Yeah.
there. They're not calling for help yet. Okay, so this turn you're going to land, right?
Unless someone has shouted for help, yes.
Nope. He's going to attempt to take this for action. So let's see
And
here.
I'm calling Solon to get on here and get this scrap out of my thought.
Stat. Okay.
Bring some of those House Thermopylae kids with you.
All right. So you basically turn back around and land at the same spot. Okay, so as you flare to land and bring the Thopter in, you can hear there's a lot of stuff going on the Vox through all of the jamming and everything. But Solon runs up. Everybody starts offloading the aircraft, and he runs up to you up in the cockpit and says, "We need to talk." He said, I need you to shut down. I've got to show you something.
Is it more important than our guys dying out there?
Is it you're a cargo guy? You've got to see this.
Okay.
So
Solon has never asked me to do this before.
Okay.
I will trust Solon.
okay, so you're going to leave Marty to keep the airplanes running.
Powered up,
Okay, so
ready to go.
there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in the landing zone there. They're unloading your.
I'm assuming it's going to take a moment to unload anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They're unloading the back of your helicopter, all the equipment, the servitors and everything are moving fairly slowly, so it buys you some time. However, Solon doesn't have to take you very far. He takes you over to one of the other containers of communication gear that you'd brought in previously. And he goes, "I need to show you something." And he's all of a sudden very serious Solon, who you've never seen
Haven't
before.
met him before. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, who is this guy?
What do you do with Solon?
So he said, we've got a problem. He goes, he says, "I'll show you how I tried to reload all of all the sacred encryption schematics." So he flips the piece of equipment open. And this is something you've gone through this rite many times. You've gone through the rite of the reloading of the encryptables. So he removes the access panel, wipes it with holy oil first, removes the access panel, saying whatever incantations he's supposed to say. And you look in, it's a standard Imperial setup where you're used to plugging in, taking one data wafer out and plugging another data wafer in. And he doesn't do anything. He says, "Does that look familiar to you?" And he points at something you've seen hundreds of times before in your career where you've reloaded data wafers into Vox equipment gear. It's a small, what you took to be a symbol, which you took to be like a manufacturer's artifact. In the corner, it's a small shape, and it looks like it's rusted and corroded where there would be contacts that would sit. Make a faith check. Okay, then make a talent check at -5.
Yes.
Okay, so what you realize is it is the exact same shape as the inquisitorial signet that you have.
And has it always been like this? Like there's something waiting to be put on there? Or does it look like something has been removed?
It looks like it's always been there. So it doesn't look like anything's been removed. It looks like it's been waiting for something to be put on it.
And we just never noticed before.
You literally thought it was like a manufacturer's insignia. No one ever explained to you what it was, and they never told you to do anything with it, and you just kind of assumed if it was important, one of the Majoses would have told you what to do with it. So it must be a manufacturer's insignia or whatever, but nope. Plain as day, you can see there's a series of contacts. Right then, Solon opens his pouch, flips over his inquisitorial signet, and shows you the bottom of it.
And
it's got corresponding.
Do I think mine is the same as his?
I don't know.
Well, I've looked at it. In fact, I have examined it closely.
Right, you have, but you might want to take it out of the container just to check. Or you might not. Okay.
I pull out the lead box. I open the lead box. I pull out the copper cage. I open the copper cage.
Okay.
I pull out the inquisitorial thing, which I destroy or hook up to a Tau power coupler in spite of my
Your
desire to
best
do so.
best thoughts of doing so. And yes, the contacts match up to the rusted, corroded spots without placing it there, obviously, but it's the same pattern and same layout as those contacts.
And they've always been there.
Every piece of Imperial Vox gear you've looked at next to the data wafer encryption has had a small little, now what looks to you like a Signet plug-in port.
You okay? Okay.
But no one ever explained it to you. No one ever said, hey, plug inquisitorial signets here.
What was the Inquisitor's name?
Fortnum, Fortnam. And Solon's giving you that look of, I'm not plugging my inquisitorial signet in there.
Well, I suppose if we need to get a hold of Fortnum, we know how to do it now. Do you really want to talk to the Inquisitor today?
He doesn't. Not at all.
Are there lots of these things? Of this equipment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, literally, if you want to go look at another one, that's really easy to do.
Does
There's
the
another.
one on my does the one on my...
I don't know. Would you like to go check
yes,
it?
I'd like to go check.
Okay. So make a talent check at -2 to see how easy it is to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you basically are comfortable removing the panels and looking at it. And yes, it too, because it is standard Imperial Vox gear, has a connection spot that looks like it matches up exactly with this
Now what's
Inquisitorial.
running through my head is this an SOS to call the Inquisitor, or does this let me listen to the Inquisitor? Surely he wouldn't give me something that lets me listen to him. But if he did.
And did the Inquisitor give it to you? So who knows?
I'm going to leave that panel open.
Okay.
Unless
You really can't. It's kind of in the forward avionics and cogitator
Do I have
bay.
anything I could use to manufacture an Inquisitorial Signet extender cable? So I can have a little dongle hanging out of my panel.
Should you wish to hang out several turns on the ground, you probably could fashion something.
Okay, if I have time, I will. But
You probably don't right now. Let me run the next turn real quick while you are sitting there on the ground unloading it.
All right.
Okay,
Well, thank
two
you,
of those.
Solon. Should we need the Inquisitor?
What do we do?
Well, right now we don't do anything.
Okay.
Hang on to your signet. If I shout for Fortnum, plug it in.
Exactly. Okay. Let's see here. What range are
Fortnum
they?
is like far away, chasing down on an assassination mission, or so we.
So you don't know where he is. You know his kill team is, off doing bad things to bad Tau that deserve to have bad things done to them because they have bad karma because they're Tau. By definition.
They attacked us first. On this.
By definition of Tau, they have bad karma. All right, let's see here.
But did their karma run over our karma?
That is the real question. Oh wait, he was going that way, so that doesn't work. Basically gets back to there.
I'm going to take back control.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's longer. It's
And as soon as they're offloaded, I'm going to take them.
okay, one more turn. And let's see here.
And I'm also going to take. Does Solon equipment already talk to my Thopter, or do I have?
Yes. So no, his gear that he has with him. So there's a couple ways you can use the Vox. Mm-hmm. You all are also, because you're Adeptus Mechanicus, able to exchange data nospherically. Once again, you're having to change to a less common way, more archaic, theoretically higher data rate, but people aren't as conversant in it. So Solon is not able to use the Adeptus Mechanicus hexarchaic noosphere super fast. He can talk to you on it, but it's...
So I can get a voice.
Yes, you can get, it's a digitized voice connection in that sense. It's him, both of you speaking in hexarchaic, which is then being turned into...
What's the range of the noosphere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's magic.
Yes.
We don't know.
You'll know when you run out of range, when all your signals go dead.
If there's enough, I'm going to bring a hand unit of whatever this Archaeotech is with me, just in case.
Oh, of what you dropped off? There's not a hand unit. It's all basically large communications
So
kind
I've
of
got
gear.
effectively the same thing on my ship.
Pretty much. So what you have in your ship is older Imperial technology. That is older, rare Imperial technology that can actually take Hex Archaic and transfer it.
But we don't have any equipment that I could carry along with me
No.
if I were to have to get out.
You could. Well, you can speak Hex Archaic. So Hex Archaic is like speaking binaric.
So I can already talk to this stuff.
Yes, you can speak to it, but once again, you're speaking through a computerized translator. So it's you're going to get things wrong. It's going to get things wrong because Hex Archaic hasn't been used for probably 10,000 years. But guess what? You happen to have studied it. All right. So exactly. Let's see. What am I? 2. If only Solon was.
I can speak it clearly, but Solon cannot.
No, he cannot.
And I'm assuming that they've got equipment to lug this along with their knights.
Yes.
Because they're not just walking around in shoes.
All right.
Did he get shot?
Yes. No, it's not.
Do I know anything about this Agrippos?
So it's a very light scout. So he just took
Does
massive.
it have VTOL capabilities?
No, it does not.
Can it land rough and take off again?
It could land rough and probably take off again, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he just got slammed pretty hard there. So, oh wait, sorry, that was only supposed to be one of those.
Did I see that since I can see him?
Hold on. There's actually that's only one hit. Because he's at 3, which means it's hitting on 6s.
Okay.
So he's
I
only
don't know
one
how
hit.
many health points that thing has, do I?
No, you don't. So, next turn, you're still on the ground. You are getting ready to lift, so you can plot an order if you want one.
Sure. If I can find my order, I think it's way right
Oh, yep. And that will be on...
Can I take off with anything other than a 1?
No.
Okay. Although, I can lift straight up.
Yes, you could. Would still be plotted as a 1. All right.
I'm gonna call out the Talon 817 and ask for a status report.
I'm a little bit busy right now. Okay, so yeah, he just got shot at, and that was land. This is your 3rd land turn. Okay, so roll for initiative. This will be the turn you lift. 3. Okay. Slow to speed 3. Put himself 5 hexes away. All right. Go ahead and make your move.
Take off. I'll be speed 1, altitude 1.
Turn 11. Nope. They missed.
Can
Okay, go ahead.
I make a talent check to gain 2 altitude instead of 1 so I can see over that rock?
Yes. Make it a -2. So.
Oh, at -2 I didn't
-2.
make it.
Yeah. Okay. No, because that's a pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Coming from 0. Okay. So. Let's see what range. He's at range 5. Now we're trying to not have splash damage here, but.
Shoot our lasers. Lasers don't splash.
Well, funny you should mention that. So normally lasers don't, unless the enemy's in close contact with friendlies. So I should probably tell you this now. If you do a strafing attack on, like a battle suit like that's in close contact with friendlies, it does have bomb creep on a 6, on a 6+.
Damage roll?
No, on your, you just a separate roll. Okay, so I don't have 3 levels, but I am at medium long range. So I have an additional opportunity for bomb creep if I use my bomb creep. So I'm going to start with the multi-lasers. Okay, 3 of those. 5s. Okay, I get 1 hit. And then, fuck it, I'm going to shoot the rocket pods. Okay, so let's do the damage to that first. Well, that wasn't all that great, so I really hope I don't. Yeah, I get no damage out of the rocket pod. But let's see, 2 bomb creeps at +1, because I'm at medium range with those rockets. So, and that actually should have been a 4 to hit down low with rockets, but whatever, I think I still totally missed. So let's see here, let me transition to the front so we can look at this. Okay, so, okay, only 1 bomb creep, and it does a standard 5-up hit. It does a point of damage to the...
So the bomb creep, that's per attack or per hit? Or?
Per attack. So normally bomb creep is just a single roll per weapon attack that could cause bomb creep. Okay. In this scenario, if people are in close proximity and you use a weapon that would normally have bomb creep from range, like if you bomb, you just have your standard rules. But if you shoot from medium or long range, it gives you an extra opportunity of bomb creep because you really can't see what you're shooting. So he just did some damage to the Zagrosians.
Do we have any comms contact with the Zagrosians?
You can attempt to get comms contact with the Zagrosians. Okay, so roll a talent check at just regular.
Yes.
Okay. So, you now have comms with the Zagrosians.
Well, for sure, are they shouting anything on their comms?
Well, they're now shouting because they just got hit by friendly rockets. So they're not exactly very happy right now.
I'm going to query whether they would like air support or if they would rather we stand off.
Well, they're really not happy about air support at this point. So let's see here. Let's grab our stuff for next turn. All right. So you're talking to the Bactrian mentor who's with them. And obviously, he's not happy they just took damage. What is your... Roll a faith check. Let's roll an opposed faith check. So add your faith to...
13.
Okay, yes. So you convince him that you will not miss, like, like the other guy.
I'm not necessarily wanting to shoot. I want to know whether they want me to
yes,
shoot.
they need immediate air support.
I'm not trying to convince them
They need immediate air support.
Okay. I just needed to know whether I should take these long-range shots or not.
Yeah, yes, you should. You should. All right. Let's see here. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to do that.
Oh, that might get the medium range.
Okay. We didn't roll initiative, right? Or did we?
Not yet.
Okay. Got your order out there? All right.
11.
Okay. He will move before you will. Speed up speed. 4. Puts him. He'll do that. He can't. He has to go 1 forward. Any one of those is going to put him too short. Moving forward anywhere is going to put him too short. Whatever. I'm just going to do that. All right. Do your move.
Accelerate to 2.
What altitude are you? Yep.
And lets me hopefully shoot over those rocks.
Yes, it will. Okay, so shooting
It's
phase.
not clear to me whether I'm 6 or 7, but I'm pretty sure I'm no more than 7.
Correct. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I'll call you 7 on that. So the tower going to take a quick shot. Let's see here. Who do they dislike more? They dislike the other guy. So they're going to take 2 at him. And they both miss. Okay. He is going to shoot back 4 multi-lasers. And he is at altitude 3. No, he can't be at 3 if he's shooting at them. He's at 2. But that's still a strafe, so it's still only 5s and 6s. It's not a rocket attack. 1 hit. Or sorry, 1 damage. Okay, that's 2 on a battle suit. Oof. Oof. All right.
Lasers.
All right. Tear him up.
Las cannons.
Hold on, let me roll my splash damage real quick. Sorry,
Yeah, make sure
because I've got 1.
it's a gross unit.
Yep. Nope. Okay.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Okay. So roll 6 up. Splash damage. Okay, you're good. All right. Turn. 14. Orders. It's not good for the Tau. Tau have not exactly been getting in the fight.
You like it that way.
All right.
15. If I can preempt the tower, I would like to do so.
Yes, you can. Okay, go ahead and move.
Slow down to 1.
Just continue pummeling them with your las cannons.
Yeah, in a minute here, I'm just going to slow down to 0.
Just hover.
The same thing. Oh no, I just knocked off my thruster. I didn't need that thruster anyways. Pew, pew, pew. There's no way to balance my base on this.
All right, that's fine. Close enough. All right. So you can shoot first.
Yes. Please.
Please hit them this time. Oh, much better this time.
Three damage.
Okay. That takes care of the battle suits. Roll for your splash damage. Roll 2 opportunities at 6 up.
Oh, don't hit the good guys. I did not hit.
Okay, you did not hit the good guys. All right. However, they are calling for immediate casualty evacuation from the previous attacks.
Yes. How
How convenient, I'm right there. All right. So, let me pull my orders. I assume you're going to fly forward for the next
Yeah.
fly, like 2, then 1.
Probably 2, 2, 1.
I'm just going to roll 3 turns worth of this just to see. Oh, of course, why not? Okay, so a target pops up immediately next turn. Make your move for next turn, but I've got to see where it pops up. Oh, that could be difficult.
What altitude do I need to be to land on that bluff? I'm assuming 2.
No, we said it was 1.
One?
We
Okay.
said it was 1 because that's where I screwed up my altitude earlier.
I drop down to whatever altitude I need to be at to land. Oh, hello.
Yeah. Apparently not content enough to go quietly into the good night. You, as you're slowing to land, go ahead and make your next move.
So now I did one move, do
Yep,
another?
yep, do another. And I'm going to do 2 moves with this guy. 1, 2, 3, turn. As you're slowing and transitioning forward to land, you kind of pass the controls off to your servitor there for a moment, and you look out as Marty's getting ready to land the airplane, and you see the largest Tau battlesuit you've ever seen jump up from the valley floor and land in the middle of those Zagrosians right there. Not your group, but the next group over.
I'm going to try to make contact with them as well.
They're on the same frequency.
Okay.
They're in the middle of the fight.
Would you like air support?
They aren't even talking. They're in the middle of the fight.
I'm going to ask this guy whether he wants me to land or support his buddies.
They have immediate casualties. They need evacuated. All right. So with that, turn 15, initiative.
I'm assuming I have to get to this square that this one won't do for landing with them.
You just have to land adjacent to them.
Okay.
So
They're kind of halfway between, so I'm not sure which one they're on.
as long as you get to the edge, they'll move to you.
Okay.
As long as you get to the edge. What's your initiative?
10.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see here. This is not going to work so well.
Let me go ahead because it's not going to change regardless of what they do. Well, I will tell them where I'm landing so they can come to me.
Yes. All right. So, as you're setting down, and you can see all the explosions happening basically off your right side there, let's see who the battlesuit decides he really doesn't like. So, there's 2 choices. Okay, so let's see which weapon system he uses. Okay, that's definitely short range. Your warning gear goes off as an entire barrage of missiles comes your way. One of them does hit.
I am still airborne and I would like to take advanced maneuvers.
Okay, you had to use your evasive maneuver skill. And it's a talent check -3, right, for skill level 1?
I don't remember. But
Oh, hold on, I got it right here. I think it's -3. It's either -3 or -2. Quick rules check.
I mean, when I roll, because
yeah,
if I
go
roll,
ahead.
It doesn't matter. Or if I roll an 8, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you definitely did not pass.
Do I still lose the airspeed from the evasive maneuver?
Yes, you do. So evasive maneuvers, reduce the aircraft speed by 1, then test again, -3. If you succeed, damage is negated. So damage is not negated.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
But now I'm stationary.
But now you're stationary.
Means I can sit down.
Yes, exactly. So
It all
it all works. It all works. Hard landing now. Okay, so the other, he's going to shoot back.
Dodged into the ground.
Yeah, exactly. You
I might have avoided the missile, but I still took the damage from hitting the ground so hard.
All right, his multi-lasers are less than effective. Okay, I'm not going to laugh because that was -1. So that was 1 hit. And then he will kick off the last rocket pod set. Duck! Let's see if we can do this without hitting any of the Zagrosians. It is a strafing attack, so those 2, and I don't get any bonuses. It's only when I'm marking for somebody else. Can't mark for myself. Okay. 2 5-ups.
You can mark for me.
Neither one does damage.
I want to close to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's got a splash of, he's at medium, so it's a second opportunity. 1 splash damage opportunity. So that's a 5. Okay, it does not do any damage to them. Okay. Good thing they ducked.
I am and Marty are going to run out there and try to help.
Okay, they're going to load on. You will just be down, landed for this turn. And then
Assuming
you...
that's not enough time to break out the nanotech repairman.
No, basically the amount of time it's going to take you to land and all that. Yeah, you're not going to... Yep, exactly. So let me figure out which direction. Okay. And who is it? They really don't like that squad, do they? Okay. To add insult to injury, another giant battle suit pops up there. So these, it's different than the other one. Obviously, the first one that popped up, you think, is probably the commander of whatever force it was. This is one of the other big, heavy battle suits, and they're now proceeding to wail on that squad and do profuse amounts of damage to them. All right, so let's do maneuvers. You're doing nothing. This guy is trying to not hit the ground while shooting. Which way can I go? I can go that way and stay at range. Okay.
I don't have any sort of ECM.
Door guns or ECM? No.
I don't like being a sitting duck.
Well, we'll see what happens when people shoot. Okay. So let's do our initiative. 2, 9. What was yours?
12.
Okay, 12.
If I can take off this turn, I would like to. If not, then I'm just loading dudes.
You're just loading dudes. Okay, so he's going to do his maneuver. He's going to speed up to 5. 1, 2.
I am going to call Solon, though, and ask if the knights have seen the action up here.
They see what's going on. They can't do much from the range they're at with the terrain and everything else. So they're kind of bogged down in a little bit of a fight where they are, and they can't necessarily influence it. Okay, so he's going to take his shots. All he has is multi-lasers. Which actually worked out well on that one. 1, 2, 4. And of course, only one of them did damage. That's fine. So it's... All right, so with that extra damage, removes the commander's battle suit from the fight. And it's now their chance to shoot. So only one guy left.
Shoot the one that is shooting at them.
Yes, that is exactly who he's shooting at. And he will use his... Oh, he'll use his railguns. Not so nice.
Oh, heck
Yeah.
nice.
Definitely not nice. All right. All right, so you see those railguns slice into the Agrippos, and it... Oh, yeah. It scores right through the engines.
Oh, no.
And huge ball of flame gouts out, and I'm going to go ahead and make its next turn move. Because I think, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it drops a level of altitude. So
Oh, no.
it crash lands right in front of you at the start of next turn.
Did he eject?
Hold on. Hold on. I haven't gotten to that point yet. So, all right. Makes a successful ejection. However, the aircraft impacts the rocks right in front of you. No splash damage from it in a large ball of fire. All right. Turn 17. You ready to lift?
Can I fetch the pilot?
He's drifting down in a parachute right now. So
Okay.
let's see here. Let me roll scatter for him. Okay, so we'll basically say that he's going to land right in front of you. So you can stay on the ground another turn if you wish. Okay.
Talon A17 will go home today. Since we're waiting for him, I'm going to send some of the uninjured Zagrosians
Okay.
to fetch him while I try to repair my ship.
Okay, roll your nanotech repair manifold.
Yes.
Okay, so take your point of damage off. Move that squad, put them right next to the airplane. As I say, just let me do this. We can take that point of damage off because that point of damage is loaded on you. They're basically there. Okay. Good.
Get him on.
Okay, so turn 18. Here's the decision factor. So those guys are still in a firefight. You've got casualties on board that you need to evacuate. How would your next several turns of movement be?
Are the Zagrosians on the ground planning to stay on the ground?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so that will give the pilot coverage. The guys on my ship, if I take them back to base now, they will live?
Yes, well, like maybe, yes.
And if I
Probably.
stay in the fight, probably not?
Probably not, the longer you delay. And which way would you fly out of here?
Well, I'm gonna drop.
Okay, so you're gonna go back. You're basically gonna use your zero move to turn and depart the hex in any direction you want. Okay.
Or I'm gonna try to back up one and drop and then turn around.
Okay. Okay.
And then scoot at low altitude.
Okay. So that will give me 2 opportunities here real quick. All right. So what's going to happen is the first turn you're going to be masked from terrain, but as soon as you move to medium range, he will get a shot on you there. So let's see here. Which system?
As soon as I'm getting shot at, I'm gonna climb as high as I can. to
Okay.
get under range.
He's going to use missiles because you're at medium range. And it misses. Okay. And so you're going to start climbing. Okay, then he will take one more shot because you'll be, if you're going to climb again,
Depends on how many.
yeah, you'll be
turns it is.
1, then your throttle is 1, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be in medium range for 2 opportunities.
Yeah. And I won't be able to get out of his range vertically in that amount of time.
Right. He's fairly short altituded. If you make it, so you're going to drop the first turn. So you're basically going to go to 0 to mask. The next turn you're going to climb to 1.
And then
That's where he took a shot. So next turn he'll take a shot at 2. So he's effective altitude 1. This is 2. This will be 6s. Okay, he misses you there. And the next turn you're out of his altitude
I'm
coverage.
also gonna go 3, 4.
Yep, you're out of his altitude coverage at that
And
point.
I'm flying home at max altitude.
Yep, okay.
Or taking these guys to wherever they can.
Yes, basically back to the nearest forward operating base. Okay,
If we've got a mass unit nearby, I'll take them there.
okay. Nope, there's no equivalent of that in the Imperium. Why would we take care of our soldiers? Okay, so you're going to, let me switch views here. So at this point,
I am going to keep in contact with Solon, though, to hear how the battles go.
okay, so basically more air power shows up almost immediately as you're leaving to start pounding on the hill up there. You take the guys back to the forward sortie base.
That is
Offload.
my job, right?
Right.
As a cargo guy.
Yes, that is your job. So you're taking them back to go seek medical care. They offload them all. Solon tells you that it is still a Grox hump up there. Everything is going fairly poorly. At least now the Zagrosians have consolidated in that one area, but they're still pinned down, fighting with the battle suits and calling in more airstrikes and things like that to try to control the battle.
Given the opportunity, unless directed otherwise, I will come back.
Okay, you will be directed otherwise, and you will be rerouted because there's other stuff for you to do that is not beating up on those targets.
Okay.
Okay, You go ahead and pull
I
it.
don't mind Zagrosians. They're not Kazurkans. The Kazurkans can bounce
The
back.
Kazurkans, exactly. We can leave the Kazurkans. We don't care about them. The Zagrosians seem pretty nice guys right now. So what you do notice when you, as you know, you land, shut down, the Medicae are all offloading the wounded and severely injured Zagrosians. This is the first time you've kind of been up close and personal with the Zagrosians to see what kind of equipment they have. You're used to their dark olive skin complexion because you know Saw, you've been around him, you know their manners of speaking. These guys look like a very rough and tumble bunch. Like we talked about the first time you all saw them, if you were going to make an Imperial equivalency, you know, maybe the Talarn Rough Riders, but they don't, you know, have turbans and things like that. But they're obviously from a semi-nomadic people that probably in close combat are badasses. Their equipment seems very mishmash. It's not like Cadian standard where everybody's pockets are in the same spot and everybody has the same number of lasgun magazines. There's guys that have bandoliers of lasgun magazines. There's guys that have a couple pockets and a big knife. They're definitely not standardized. They did not bring their Bactrian mentor with them. He stayed back there.
And what is the Bactrian mentor?
So he is basically a cross between an officer and a commissar. So he doesn't like execute men for cowardice like a commissar does, but he is responsible for the effectiveness of the unit. However, he's not Zagrosian. Some of them speak the local dialects, some of them don't. It varies with the Bactrian mentor that's given to that unit.
He's their handler.
He's their handler is the best way. That's a very good way of saying it. And as like commissars vary, sometimes they're very imperious, sometimes they're very friendly. Just the stories you've heard is generally the Bactrians are pretty tough on the Zagrosians. While they don't summarily execute them like a commissar, they don't necessarily treat them like they're equals.
Okay.
So you see them all being offloaded, and obviously the pilot, who is quite quite healthy at this point, is more than happy. He kind of waves off the Medicae and all the guys that come over to check him out, and he looks and goes, "Would you want a drink?" So he's obviously going to go to the bar. Are you going to go to the bar?
I have been directed not to go back.
There's not another mission that you've been directed to do just now.
Okay.
And remember, you're not a ground. I mean, you can do ground attack, but there's other aircraft.
I am not a ground
Yeah.
attack.
So right
That
now,
happens to be what I tend to do.
yeah.
But I don't have explosive blowing up things.
Right,
I just have
right.
to put little holes in large things.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go to the bar.
All right. So you leave poor.
What's his name?
So yes, his name.
And you said he's a pilot?
He's a pilot. The guy that ejected.
Oh, the pilot. Got
Yes,
it.
the guy that ejected. Yes. Hold on.
I thought we were talking about the Zagrosian. He also was a Zagrosian.
No, he is not. And there's actually two pilots you picked up.
Oh, there were two people?
Yes. Hold on here. I wrote down for Talon.
I actually need to know their names.
Well, I'm going to write down Talon 815's crew here because I have it. 817. Talon
I wrote it down like you said.
817.
Do I have a call sign other than Murdoch?
No, you don't have a call sign. You're not a cool guy pilot.
Does that refer to his plane or does that refer to him?
No, that is his aircraft call sign. Was Talon 817.
So the real question is, do I thought to have a call sign? And the answer is probably
Yes. We've just because remember the first day when I gave you the mission flimsy. That's the only time I've ever given you a call sign. So nobody used it. Nobody remembered it. I'm like, well, I'm just going to stop mentioning those.
Well, if I knew what mine was, I would use it. But
Well, it's going to vary every day. It's going to be difficult. All right. So let me come up here. Shoot, where's my? Go through my reference here. All right. I'll give you their call signs later because I didn't write it down because I wasn't expecting them to get shot down this mission. It's in my list of pilots. Anyway, so he and his co-pilot, because they fly a crew of two in those airplanes, say, let's go to the bar, let's get a drink.
yeah, after crashing your airplane, I think you need it.
Yeah, exactly. It's their time to go to the bar. So as you go to the bar, you notice walking into the officers' club it is more full than it usually is. So there's a lot of missions going on, but there's now more people obviously rotating back through the forward sortie base. In fact, you see there's a lot of Bactrians in there who didn't used to be there.
Is this our home base, or is this?
No, this is the forward sortie base. So it's not, it's that location you were that the
Okay, it's the one where we have been hanging out.
Yes,
Like,
correct.
The one where my
correct.
workshop is.
Yes, where your workshop is. Yes,
That's fine.
where the local
the
militia
workshop
built a airstrip and everything out of what was a hole in the ground.
That's one does.
So they you roll in, you notice it's a lot more full. There's a lot more people, and you kind of think back. You really didn't pay attention to the flight line when you came in and landed, but there happened to be a lot of Zagrosian, their versions of the Valkyrie
Because our
out
own
there.
are all gone.
Well, not all gone, but a number of them have gone on to meet the Omnissiah, shall we say. So,
We currently have a shortage of support aircraft.
and that's why the Zagrosians ended up bringing their own. So you can tell there's probably about a battalion's worth of air power there, which let's say that's about 12 more cargo airframes. So that's cargo airframes, crews, pilots. And you can see that, obviously your own pilots have rotated back. Some of them are at the end of their crew day, so they're going to have beers, they're going to hang out. You don't see Gyro or Saw or any of the, we'll call them the fighter pilots.
Okay.
That crowd doesn't seem to be back yet.
What about Pinka or Stormy?
So Stormy is still orbiting, fighting the good fight. Pinka is at some other base, some other FARP, refueling, rearming point, probably still fighting her way in and out of the valley.
Okay.
But as you look around, you do notice there's a couple distinct groups. There are the Imperials, there are several Bactrians at the bar, and you've come to realize that you can pick the Bactrians out of the average lineup of local militia because they're taller, thinner, smaller boned. They don't look necessarily as rugged or as athletic as some of the other humans in the sector look. Definitely not as athletic as your average Cadian. And then you see over to one side a bunch of Zagrosians that are obviously pilots. So this is kind of unique. They're over at a table with themselves, and they're all sitting there with their fruit drinks or whatever non-alcoholic drink they're having.
Do Zagrosians not fly? I mean, not drink?
Well, so Zagrosians fall into one of two camps. They either make mead and do all these other things, or they don't drink at all.
Okay.
So there's kind of two camps to the
They don't
Zagrosians.
drink, or they drink excessively.
Exactly, exactly. So as far as you know, most Zagrosians you think are like Saw. They don't drink. And you notice there is one Bactrian over at their table with them in the same flight suit, same insignia, everything as them. So he's likely their air mentor, the guy that's actually.
And the guys from from Agrippa's.
Yes.
Talon 817.
Yes, Talon 817.
They appear to be Bactrians?
They're Bactrians.
Or- okay.
They're taller,
And Bactrian
thinner.
is different than the local Taxila.
Correct. The Taxila is drawn from the entire sector. The Bactria is the capital. So the Bactrians tend to be more aristocratic, more. Their world has a lighter gravity, so that's why over 10,000 years they tend to be taller, lither, less hardy, shall we say, than some of the other more rough and tumble worlds.
Are there any local Taxila Mechanicum in the club?
Well, your buddy Euthydemus is in there, but he's kind of sitting off in a corner with a couple of the other Cadians that he's finally gotten to know, and so he's trying to regale them with stories of life in Taxila sector.
Okay.
So he's doing his best to make friends and influence people.
Well, probably will just ruin that whole effort, so if I come up there.
All right. So obviously the Bactrians at the bar had heard their buddies get shot down. When you come walking in with them, there's much cheering, much rejoicing. Obviously, the two guys that are shot down are buying the next round of drinks. That's their penance for being shot down.
Well, I'm going to try to get in on the free drink.
Okay, yeah, roll right in, get on the free drink, and they're obviously happy to introduce you to a series of the Bactrians that are out there. So Talon and that crew, they basically introduce you at that point. I didn't write his name down. I suck today because I wasn't planning on doing this part of the mission. So they introduce you to kind of their lead Bactrian commander there. So their lieutenant colonel and his call sign is Tool. So they introduce you to him, and you start to figure out how he got the call sign, because he's very tall, very aristocratic, very detached.
Okay.
But he's obviously very thankful that you picked up his crew that were ever so incompetent as to crash right in front of the medevac. And he picks on them a little bit, but he also is obviously very happy to have them back. These are all air crew. Correct. So he's the Bactrians, like the Cadians, sometimes mix ranks between Imperial Navy and Astra Militarum. So in this case, because they are in a ground-focused billet, they have lieutenant colonel's rank, because they're in a local PDF rather than the Navy, where they would have different ranks.
Okay.
Much like Pinka is a lieutenant, because she is attached as a vulture pilot to the Astra Militarum. So they continue celebrating and everything like that. And you watch the Zagrosians in the corner, not even paying the slightest bit of attention to what's going on. It seems to you they're playing something you're not sure if it's akin to a gambling game, or if it's like chess, or if it's whatever, but it's a very intense series of rocks being moved around the board, and money being put on the board, and money being taken off the board, and their Bactrian mentor is in the middle of all that as well.
Okay.
And it's super intense going on. But the other Bactrians are not participating at all. So they're kind of watching what goes on over there and not necessarily associating.
Passing asked, what are they playing?
What? So it's a tribal game. It's a tribal game that all the Bactrians play. He goes, if it was similar to something all the Zagrosians. If you wanted it to be similar to something you Imperials play, it's like Regicide, but it's so much simpler. It's a common tribal game they play. And apparently they gamble for money, although I've heard Zagrosians don't gamble. But apparently they gamble for money. So anyway, they're continuing to play the game. Eventually the Bactrian notices that his two buddies have rolled back in. So as you see, he plays the rest of his hand, shall we say, gets up from the table. And at that point, there's obviously much wailing and gnashing of teeth, because whatever move he did just upset the whole apple cart. And he basically walked away after doing that. Okay. So all of his Zagrosians, not in an angry way, but in a frustrated, I can't believe you're leaving, he gets up and comes over and decides to hang out with the rest of the Bactrians. Introduces himself. His call sign is, yes, wait for it. I wish I had that damn list. This is what you don't do as a GM. You don't fail to pre-flight your names.
What I used to do is I had a long list of human names.
Yes.
And a long list of elf names, and a long list of.
And I did, and I had a long list of Bactrian mentors, because I knew I had to draw like 4 of them.
None of them are assigned to anybody until someone asks the name.
And you're like, that's it. That's exactly. And you write down who they are. Hold on. Hold on. Get this here. I'm not good at thinking on my feet.
Oh, there's our bot.
Hey, yeah, see the bots? The bots made it in there.
Wouldn't be a stream without our bot.
Oh, God. I know. So thank you for joining and for telling us to have viewers on streamwhatever.com. Yeah, I'm sure. Whatever. We'll introduce this guy later. I'll pull his name out of the archive. Yeah. But anyway, so he comes over and starts talking. He's obviously happy to see his friends back and thanks you for saving them. And his friends start teasing like, would you like a local fruit drink? I'm sure there's Scythiana fruit that you could have. And he basically glares at them and then walks over, grabs his Zagrosian mead from the bartender, and comes back and joins you all. So
this is one of the overindulging.
Well, but he's a Bactrian. He's the Bactrian mentor. So, and they proceed to talk to you about the battle, and they're asking what you saw and all those kind of things. And so, as you come to find out, the Agrippos aircraft are sent out there with a crew of 2 to locate and find targets. They do have some cool abilities that you didn't get to see in this game. Should you ever need one of them to suppress targets or suppress threats for you, they can ingress with you, and similar to how Stormy and his aircraft can cause enemy threats to not hurt you, they can also suppress threats if they shoot at you. They can also mark targets for you, and that will allow you to have a bonus to hit those targets. They can only do those obviously once per turn, like most aircraft abilities, but it does give you some flexibility out there. However, though, like you saw, they have a structure of 2. They are highly maneuverable and decently fast, but they are also very, very fragile. Yeah, very squishy. So use them if you must. Okay. So, in the conversation with the Bactrian mentors, is there anything you want to ask their pilots? Anything that you're curious about as they're kind of...
Well, certainly the specs on the Agripos.
Right.
We probably have talked about by now.
And it's they also tell you that it's built from a very similar STC to the Lightning fighters. So it's very similar structure-wise to them, although it's obviously got twin tail booms and other pieces that are different than that.
Where they built them?
Oh, at our Forge World. That's where they get built for us. We don't build them ourselves. Taxila Mechanicum builds all that for us. Or I should say, I say our Forge World, and the guy stops, he goes, that is also assuming that you knew that our Forge World was destroyed, basically, in the last series of Xenos wars with the Tyranids and everything. So they're still being built for us, but not at the Forge World, at our dispersed forges around the sector.
Are there any forges here on Scythiana?
Not on Scythiana, that they'll acknowledge.
So they're all coming off planet.
But yes, all of their aircraft you have seen come from off planet be offloaded from heavy loaders, heavy landers that come down and offload multiple men and equipment. What does impress you is the Taxila Mechanicum, the ships they have, and the Bactrian Diplomatic Union. They seem to be able to move a heck of a lot of cargo pretty fast. So when they need to resupply or bring in more equipment and more men and material, they have a lot of landers. So you haven't necessarily seen their navy and their ships that are flying all this, but when stuff shows up, it's not like they're short a number of landers. They have a lot of heavy cargo landers that drop off everything.
So it's not that they have some fancy technology, it's that they have copious quantities of landers.
Yes, copious quantities of landers. So it's obviously that, unlike the 94th Cadian, that spread loaded everything across ships and then lost half of it, oops, that at least their warships or cargo ships that are bringing their combat units are capable of landing a lot of them at one time. So not necessarily into a combat zone because they're heavy lifters, but they're the kind of things that if you need to get forces planet side quickly, they can do it.
Can they land rough terrain, or do they need a spaceport?
They can land semi-rough terrain, so they can land off of a spaceport, but these, once again, are not the thing you would take into a combat zone. They're not heavily armed or armored.
But if we had a plateau and we needed to land a bunch of dudes there.
Yes, and if you wanted to land a knight, they have landers that are big enough that you can land multiple knights out of.
Okay, do they have knights that aren't local?
Yes, they didn't bring any with them, but they didn't bring any of the other knight houses because that would be a serious faux pas. Sure. We would not invite another house to fight on Scythiana, which is House Themistocles' territory. But yes, so they have landers that could land multiple knights.
Do the Bactrians as a whole have their own Mechanicum equivalent? Or is it just
The Taxila Mechanicum is the equivalent throughout the sector.
Oh, that's right. Taxila is the sector.
Right. So the Taxila Mechanicum is very much a 30K type Mechanicum. It's still very much pre-Adeptus Mechanicus. It hasn't necessarily taken that turn, which is good and bad. And as the Bactrian pilots who are talking to you as a Adeptus Mechanicus, yet human-born, not vat-grown, it's obvious that there are a lot of human recruits into the Taxila Mechanicum, so you're not an unusual thing to them. But there obviously are some vat-born and some clone, some genetically engineered Taxila Mechanicum, but it seems like the vast majority of them are branched out of their academic institutions at a certain level. That there's a certain level where they either academically or aptitudinally don't proceed down a pre-programmed path, and the institution says, "Oh, you'd be perfect for the Mechanicum," and so they go over to the Taxila Mechanicum, which is good and bad. It's once again a constant series of recruits to come into the Mechanicum, so they don't have to vat grow them, but you get everyone from across the board. So you probably have the equivalent of Solon there. You've already met, Lenora Gamma, so you see that they've got a lady with attitude, shall we say.
Gyro's not girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly, not
She will
girlfriend.
forever be
Gyro's not girlfriend. Why does your cousin have to? Well, yes, and so maybe that's a Stormhammer thing, because they are both from Stormhammer.
But they are related. So
yes, they are cousins. It could also be a family thing. Yeah, they are both cousins.
But neither of them will give me a plant. I want a plant.
You want a plant? You're not getting a plant.
Not for them.
Do you bring up the topic of plants with the Bactrians?
Sure.
They'll go,
What about the
they're like,
what's with the Stormhammer lilies?
superstitious. He goes, the only people more superstitious than a Zagrosian is a resident of Stormhammer. They are crazy about those stupid plants. Space Marine chapter shows up, slaps an image of that plant on their frickin' pauldron, and all of a sudden it's the planet's savior. So I don't know. They apparently love their plants.
Wait, there's a Space Marine chapter with the Stormhammer lily?
Yes, the Green Templars. They have a flurry cross, and in the center of that flurry cross, with all the flowery edges, is, yes, a Stormhammer lily.
Is it always there?
Yeah. Well, as long as there have been Green Templars at the sector that people can remember.
Yeah.
So.
We haven't met them yet, have we?
Not officially. You have seen them fly by and had them on the IFF and all that. You have not met them. They are mentioned in there. And in fact, if you look, you can probably even see the Stormhammer lily in the pauldron. I don't know. It might be the opposite shoulder. But anyway, so yeah, they speak fairly poorly of the residents of Stormhammer, but not as poorly as they speak of the Zagrosians. Well, some of them do. So anytime one of the head honchos speaks poorly of the Zagrosians, you notice the mentor who walked over, the pilot, tends to make some other snarky comment to his bosses. So it's obvious that he is closer to his fellow Zagrosian pilots that he actually flies with than perhaps the crews of the Agrippos aircraft, who don't necessarily work day in and day out with them.
We'll engage the Bactrian mentor to the Zagrosian about that air crew and their people. Just to
the Zagrosians. He says they're a complex people. He said, actually, you've got one of them that's been flying with you. You probably know Lieutenant Colonel Ansari.
Saw.
Yeah, Saw and I, he actually trained me in flight school. He is one of the Zagrosians who's done very well for himself. He said, I can't say all Zagrosians are of the skill level of Saw. And I can also tell you that based on his call sign, Saw was not the greatest pilot when he started either. But they are absolutely skilled and capable pilots. He goes, but their culture is different than ours. He says, we're Bactrians. We grew up in cities. We grew up in the closest thing the sector has to an Imperial hive. And most of us grew up in the upper echelons of that, because that's how we became pilots and not menial laborers. The Zagrosians, he said, it's a very agricultural planet. It's not an agro planet like this, but it's a very pastoral, very low income. They travel the sector as the workers of this sector. And so they're skilled, they're good. They just, for the last several thousand years, kind of have a bad rap. He goes, but they're brave in combat.
And is Zagrosia in the Taxila sector?
It is in the Taxila sector. It is a separate world.
Have I met or heard of any Zagrosian Mechanica?
No, you have not.
And I'll inquire about that.
He says the Zagrosians are not culturally. He pauses for a minute, trying to think of a nice word. Disposed towards the Mechanicum. And that's not to say that they don't have mechanically inclined people in their culture. They do, because they have to continue to run their world. And there's a number of Taxila Mechanicum there, but the Omnissiah, that is almost a bridge too far for some Zagrosians to buy into. And he looks at you, trying not to offend you, but you can tell what he's saying. He's trying to walk between his Zagrosian buddies, who he feels very close to, but he knows their contempt for things Martian.
Yeah, okay.
And that's about the best ways you can kind of decipher between the two.
So Murdoch feels a kindred spirit here because he also grew up working on tractors.
Well, and that's why I say so. There are.
And said, oh,
Hey, we might want to hire you, or kidnap you. Exactly. So the difficulty, as you kind of have this discussion, you get a feeling that the Zagrosian culture is very steeped in tradition, and there's a lot of things that are taboo. So one of those things apparently is beyond a human laborer's knowledge of mechanical things. So they're very good as workers, and they're very good at maintaining. They have a cultural taboo against proceeding beyond that level of knowledge.
Okay.
That level of knowledge is forbidden to them, for whatever reason.
So my favorite things they can't have.
Exactly. Alcohol and knowledge. Those two things.
I mean, other order. But...
There might be a different order there. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Any other questions you want to ask them?
No, he's just going to try to make friends.
Okay. So as the night starts. Sorry.
No, so he is going to find out, dig more into the taboo topic so that he doesn't make a fool of himself in front of the Zagrosians, so that he can maybe later meet and become friends with the Zagrosians.
Okay, so you start going down that road, and he starts laughing. He goes, I think the Zagrosians have more things that are taboo than things that are not taboo. So if you are concerned about offending a Zagrosian, you will offend a Zagrosian. I recommend you apologize quickly, and that way you probably will not be stabbed by said Zagrosian.
I would prefer to avoid being stabbed by a Zagrosian.
But there's things that I even now today find out are taboo and are not to be done. He goes, but that also varies with the beliefs of the tribe or the Zagrosians you're with. He goes, if you look at my team over there, there's some that, I'll be honest, they pray to a variety of gods. Some of them pray to the emperor. Some of them pray to ancient gods of old Terra. Some of them, I don't want to know what they pray to, but they fly really well, and I'm not going to ask any more questions. Some may even pray to the Omnissiah, for all I know. But they're culturally diverse yet very conservative, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay, in a weird sort of desert people way.
Much knowledge I seek, but what it feels like to be stabbed by a Zagrosian.
Yeah, you don't want to be stabbed by Zagrosians. Because I recommend you don't get in a fight with a Zagrosian.
Don't like getting in fights at all unless I've got a las cannon.
Right. So about that point, the door slams open, and through no surprise to you, who walks through the door but Gyro? And Gyro makes, no. She's happy. She's back from a mission, and as usual decides she's going to make an entrance.
Wave and call her over to join us. Gyro, come have a drink.
Oh, sure, of course. She's already in full obnoxious form at this point.
Lenore?
I could care less. Hopefully falling off my airplane after she fixes it.
Did you break your airplane again?
It might have. It might have a few more bullet holes in it. But there's a few less tow around, so.
Fair trade.
Sorry, we were in a fairly long mission up there, and I did a fair amount of damage to my airplane, but there's a lot less battle suits roaming the battlefield.
Any mission you walk away from.
Exactly. My airplane, might not walk away from that one, but that's all right. Anyway, so I'll have a drink. So she grabs a Zagrosian mead as well, and proceeds to introduce herself to the other pilots. And of course, you can tell there's a little bit of a pecking order there, because there's Zagrosian mentor, assault cargo pilots. There's Bactrian bosses. There's somewhere in the middle Stormhammer fighter pilots. So there's very rapidly, as I would say, a little bit of butt sniffing to figure out who flies what and who is who. And it's obvious that Gyro is not happy to be the middle person and not the top tier of the whole group, because she does get talked down to a little bit by the Bactrian lieutenant colonel.
Have you met the Zagrosians?
Who are you saying that to her? Gyro. She goes, I fly with a Zagrosian. After meeting Saw, I don't need to meet any more Zagrosians, thank you very much. She goes, but you know what? I do need to catch up with my Taxila Mechanicum friends, so thank you for the drink. And she goes over and proceeds to talk to Euthydemus as he's over there regaling more Cadians with stories. All right. If there's no further questions, you did have one more Zagrosian question I thought you were going to ask. You said, You said you would eventually like to be introduced to the
Yeah,
Zagrosians.
yeah.
Would you like the mentor to walk you over there now, in the
Yes,
middle of their
and
game?
Teach me how to play this game.
He looks at you and goes, you do not want to play this game.
No, but I would like to know how to play the game.
Because I'm not sure I even know how to play the game. So he says, okay,
seem to think you do.
I will walk you over there. He goes, I'm lucky. I bet well. He goes, I'll walk you over there and I will explain the game to you. He goes, don't be offended if they don't pay attention to you. And certainly don't be offended if they don't invite you to play the game. Because if they invite you to play the game, they're going to expect you to pay into the pot. And I don't think you ever need Zagrosian money on you, do you?
Oh, not today.
Okay. So he goes, so if they do ask, politely decline. So as you walk over there, him bringing...
Worked out the algorithm for winning yet.
Exactly. Him with his drink, no longer fruit drink, standing there watching. You see that it is obviously a game of strategy that has a betting angle to it, but it's more of an economy than betting in the money that's being thrown into the table, pushed around the table. And it's a fixed amount, it seems. So there's not... people aren't upping their antes, upping their bets. There's like a fixed amount of cash that's on the table, and it moves around between different players. You also notice that there's both, it seems, a military economy and a cash economy. And as the mentor explains the game, he says that every single one of the players around the table is a warlord. He goes, if you notice, they all have stacks of red stones in front of them. Those markers are for their armies. They have white stones, and those are for their workers. And you'll notice they will barter, they will fight. And so he shows as it gets to one turn and the players start putting red rocks out and opposing each other.
It's a worker placement Euro board game.
It's sort of a worker placement Euro board game. He says, you notice there are several stones, first of all, that are larger than the others. And he points them out. He goes, first of all, do you see the gold one over in the corner? That one player who has a gold stone and seems to have a lot of the other stones along with it. He goes, the player with the gold stone, he is the Padishah. If I were to put it in Imperial terms, he is the Emperor. So he is the one that has the power to make anyone else around the table do something he wishes. However, there's always some payout. He has to pay them in workers, or he has to pay them in cash, or he has to do something military for them. But he can command anyone around the table. So as you're watching, the player who's the Padishah doesn't seem to do a whole lot. Every once in a while, he'll slide a little bit of money over to somebody. Something might or might not happen. Maybe that person then moves some armies somewhere, or maybe they trade him some workers. But he seems to also be a little bit of the peacemaker, because there's times that players move armies to the center of the table, and he puts his hand down, and players take their armies back off the table. So yeah, exactly. It was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start that fight. So there's obviously some interaction there. As you're watching the game, he also points out, says, you see the copper stone over there. He goes, that would be, and he's trying to think of an Imperial equivalent. He said, it's kind of like the administratum. Another word you would use in Gothic would be the exchequer. If you notice, he always takes money from everyone. He could be, what is that capitalist term that we don't have in the Imperium? The bank. He is a bank. He is the repository of all the money. And so whenever people, they can take loans from him, he can collect taxes from everyone, but he is the one that the money all stays with. So you watch the game going on, and you notice that there's one player that nobody seems to mess with. And he has a blackstone out in front of his play. And you notice at one point in the game, a number of people put their all the little red stones up against his blackstone. And there's some bizarre interaction going on there of military versus this one player who doesn't seem to be doing a lot. And at that point, the battery looks over and goes, oh, that player, he has the Kabah. He is the ecclesiarchy, if I was going to put it in anyone's terms. He is the yin to the emperor's yang. He can command people, but he can also be overthrown. And that's what you're seeing right now, is that everybody has determined he should no longer be their religious leader. And so as you see, there's a little bit of negotiation, a little bit of money. The guy rapidly is throwing what little cash reserves he has on the table, and nobody seems to be buying it. And so they fight, game of chance, and then he loses being the Kabah. The Kabah is taken by the most numerous force there, taken back to their base. And so now that player starts from scratch, back at the very beginning. The bank slips him a little bit of money. Some other player takes pity on him, gives him a small amount of armies and a small amount of workers, and the player begins back in the game. But as the Bactrian mentor says, it's a game of politics. There's not much chance to it. It's all fixed odds. You don't see dice to be rolled or chits to be drawn, anything like that. It's all fixed odds. But there's an interaction amongst the table, he goes, that reinforces their cultural hierarchy of that there is both religious order, financial order, social order, and that those are all in balance in Zagrosian society. Because I traditionally, when they let me play, they make me the Padishah, which I guess is a sense of honor, or maybe they give it to the worst player, I don't know. He goes, but I always start the game being the Padishah, so I am the deal maker.
How long do you stay the Padishah typically?
He goes, I actually usually am the Padishah till I abdicate. And he goes, he stops for a moment, speaks in Zagrosian to the player who has the Padishah, the gold icon in front of him. The guy laughs, goes, moves his icon out in front of the new player who has the black, the Kabah. He puts it right next to his, stands up from the table, takes his money, throws it to a couple other players, and pushes all of his armies and his workers to the religious leader. And he says, that is abdicating. He goes, that's actually the most powerful abdication, because now, if you notice, that player has both the religious authority and the social authority. So,
oh, no good will come up.
No good is exactly. He says exactly. He goes. That move, that was a jerk move. I asked him to abdicate, and he did what is going to cause probably in another few rounds an absolute bloodbath.
So is that what you did a few?
Yes, he goes, that is exactly what I did. He said that is, he goes, that is a maneuver done in the game that is it's a cop-out. It's giving up all of your authority and putting it in somebody that you know is going to immediately try to be dethroned. He goes, because if I gave the Padishah to just another one of the players, there's checks and balances. The bank has to issue them money. You know, the religious leader can still, outweigh their decisions. So there's checks and balances. He goes, but now that I've put 2 of the tokens in that player's hand, and he says, for whatever reason, if the bank, if the exchequer, if the administratum also goes to that player, the game is over. He has won, as tribal leader, he has all branches of the government.
So
he has won everything.
Game?
He goes, we consider that a loss because you play the game until everybody gets tired of it. If somebody wins the game, then everybody else has failed. It isn't so much that he won the game, everybody else lost. He goes, but the reality is, you'll see, he goes, they'll probably play for another couple hours, but at the end of the night, all the money is usually either divided up and given back to the players. He goes, or it's given off to charity. He goes, we have a charitable donation for the families of our killed in action pilots. Because it's people mistake it. A lot of my Bactrian counterparts mistake it for gambling. It isn't. You put your money in and it's gone. It's not. There's no return to you of anything that wasn't yours. He goes, but it's an interesting game. It fills the time. He goes, but it gives me insight to the Zagrosians. They're very religious. They're very loyal to a Padishah, but they also understand cold hard cash. So if you understand the interaction of those 3 things in their world, you will understand how the Zagrosians live and why they're probably ridiculed by my people, the Bactrians, who all we care about is power and money. The religious part, not our problem.
You all have a different game.
We have very complex games, much like Regicide, but even more complex. He says the nobles of my world of Bactria, you may or may not have heard of the Bactrian massacre. The nobles of my world were so conspiratorial, they thought they could outplay the Space Marines, and they thought they could outmaneuver them and back them into a corner and do things. He goes, I have never seen the videos of what happened in the southern continent of Bactria, but I do know that an entire night house was decimated to a person by the Space Marines. No survivors, public executions, and that part of the continent is now off limits to us. So,
stupid games.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the motto of the Bactrian nobility. So now you understand why we are both courting the Imperium to our detriment and trying to also chart our own course to our detriment. Yes, yes. He looks and goes, please don't think me a fool. I know the Imperium is here for our resources and our worlds and could care less about the day-to-day existence of our citizens. That's how the Imperium is, and you just have to understand that. When you are one of the freer peoples of the galaxy on the fringes, you know your time is limited. Eventually, the Great Devourer will just eat up your little pocket empire, and you'll be like everybody else with candles and oils and incense and be eating corpse starch. But that is not today. We're not on Armageddon.
It could be worse.
It could be a lot worse than out here. Well, we could be getting devoured by Tyranids, but thankfully they seem to have passed by us and are headed straight for the Imperium. So good luck with that, boys. Hopefully that'll turn out well for you.
I'm sure it will eventually.
What could possibly go wrong?
Tyranids.
Exactly. Oh. All right, so with that, the evening starts to kind of wind down. He excuses himself. He's going to go back and get his guys off and back to their billeting and back to their quarters. Gyro is just starting to ramp up, so as usual, everybody else is about done. Go ahead and make a faith check, or sorry, fury check. Did I still put my D10 back? I probably did. Did you pass? Oh, you did. You passed. So you're quite sober at the end of the evening. All right, so everyone kind of filters out of the bar, back to their different places. You head back to your workshop, because that's where you are as a Mechanicum, and you find Solon. They're still working.
Oh, he got back.
He got back, exactly. So,
Working on.
communications gear.
I would like to join him in his examination of the communication. Now, is he doing personal work on the communication gear, or is he prepping them for?
Oh, he seems to be doing something fairly not what the boss ordered at this point.
Peek over his shoulder and
Okay, yeah. So he is literally has got it dug apart. Does not have his inquisitorial signet connected, but has probes and things connected to those ports to trying to figure out what that does.
Perfect. That's what I was going to do after I got drunk.
Because that's exactly what you need to do. All right. He goes, I have no idea what it is. It does have a binary data exchange between those ports and the radio, but I don't know. It's just a hard link into the radio, into the Vox box's gear.
Can we cobble together something that has no Vox, no connection to the noosphere, that is basically just an O-scope and a pattern generator?
You could, with your knowledge, attempt to build a dummy load, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
So you could take the radio offline, the Vox offline.
I mean, like completely disconnected.
Exactly.
Like literally not attached.
And that's why I say literally a dummy load. So it would like be feeding into a tank of oil. It will not be radiating anything. But you could do that. You could attempt to do that. That's well within your Mechanicum knowledge how to prevent something from radiating.
Is it heretical?
No, it's not heretical. I mean, it's used for troubleshooting. So
Okay.
it's
I would like to build
it is a much more arcane art because it's not a standard thing you would do unless you are tuning a Vox unit that is severely out of tune. You wouldn't need to use a dummy load or anything like that. To use modern terms, not.
So something that has no chance of actually transmitting.
Exactly.
Or connecting to anything communicative.
Right.
So that we
Well, so let's also be honest. There's parts and pieces of these Vox units that you don't know what they do. So there could be, in your limited Adeptus Mechanicus knowledge, there always could be a back door in there that has some other way of radiating.
minimize the
But
chance.
you could also make a talent check real quick.
No.
Okay, yeah.
Can I
You realize.
do it in a Faraday cage?
Okay, so you would like to do it somewhere that is protected from radiating. Make a talent check real quick.
No.
Okay. Yeah, you can't quite figure out how to fit yourself in there, big enough one, and all the moving parts and things you need in there. You're like, it's going to take me a while to build one that size.
All right.
I don't necessarily have the
We'll
materials.
chance it.
Okay.
We'll chance it.
Okay.
Build a dummy load, hook up the, and try to talk to the little chip. see what it does.
So are you going to physically connect it? Are you going to...
To a dummy load, yes.
Right. So you're going to plug it into the radio with it plugged into, or the Vox unit with it plugged into dummy load. Okay, make an opposed roll. Just go ahead and roll your...
10.
Okay. So when you plug the Signet in, the display changes. First of all, the tablet, what do I want to say, data slate style display on the front of this thing, you've seen it a million times. You've used it a million times. You've programmed these things. It turns a color you've never seen. It turns a really deep red. You see that inquisitorial insignia pop up along the sides. Where your frequency readout is, it says, what do you think? Redacted. Banned. Redacted. Transmission protocol. Redacted. So, yeah. So all that comes up. And obviously it's not transmitting anything, but whatever it has just done, this has basically overridden whatever controls you have in that radio.
Okay. Can I make another one that is physically wired?
Well, I mean...
So that it's like they're talking over the Vox, but they're not.
Oh.
Another dummy unit. Physically wire the two together.
And use the other?
And see if we can talk to each other across the dummy units. I'm trying to see if this is an end-to-end encryption.
Okay. So, make it, hold on, let me, an opposed talent check. Okay.
12.
No. You can't figure out what the problem is. You try, but it's either because it's not truly transmitting, it's not able to synchronize, both the same thing happens. Inquisitorial.
With Solon, by the way.
Right, yeah. But I'm saying, but on both Vox units, inquisitorial signets come up, redacted shows up in all your data fields, but you can't key the mics, you can't talk. There's something about it that isn't. It just, you can't hard link it with the way you've at least got the technology. It's, yeah.
Right, I'll have to wait until we've got the Faraday cage.
Or you can just walk outside and plug it in.
I don't want the Inquisitor to show up on my doorstep
Ring, ring, hello.
asking, why did you call me?
You never know. All right.
I mean, if we got in trouble out there, I was going to do exactly that.
But
Make Solon.
make Solon do that, exactly. Okay, so you deinstall. Okay, so yeah, as soon as you pull that, everything comes back.
Can they talk to each other now?
With a hard connection, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So
So it wasn't that I screwed up the connection on the dummy.
no, it's just there's something that is not allowing the two with that inquisitorial. Let's call it the inquisitorial protocol. Whatever that is going on, hard link does not allow them to do that.
Okay.
All right, and with that, we will leave it. Thank you all for watching. I know that was a fairly non-standard episode, but we'll get some more killing of Tau in hopefully 2 weeks from now. So no game next week, game 2 weeks from now. Thanks everyone for watching.